Well, I was raised in El Monte my whole life. That's how I met this guy. My grandparents that lived down the street from me, they had a home full of instruments that I just loved it. I loved being around. Early 80s when I was like 12 years old and heard Minor Threat for the first time. I just could not believe what I was hearing. But there were only like 4 dudes in school that knew what I was talking about.
You have anything to comment, Bob?
Don't waste the tape.
And my brother, he was like, hey, do you know Gabriel? He likes a lot of that same music, because my brother's more of a metal guy. I'm like, no. So my brother introduced me to Gabe.
Yeah. Started for me in high school from a friend. He wanted to start a band. I didn't know how to play shit. And I told my mom I need a guitar, so they bought me a Glenn Campbell fucking acoustic versus electric.
Hell yeah.
He turned me on to DRI, and then I started to just go towards punk more than metal. And then because of DRI, that was it. And then we started to write shit like that and create our short little songs, and that's where it fucking began.
Gabe and I started banging out some tunes in my garage, and one day in high school, a bunch of friends were hanging out, and Gabe was going on about our band. Oh yeah, we jam, we got these fucking songs. And to me, it was just like we're making a bunch of noise in the garage, like it wasn't anything established yet. And I told him, I go, dude, our band sucks. And they were like, fucking, yeah, that's a fucking badass band name right there.
Yeah.
And that just stuck.
Oh! Big! F! We suck!
Joel and Brett, I met them in the 2nd grade. Brett was my age. We were both little kids. Brett with his bowl haircut. You like Kiss? I like Kiss too.
I lived there till I was about 11, and my mom passed away. My dad shows up, who was living in Texas at that point. He shows up and says, "You're coming with me." Me and my brother got shipped to Texas onto a farm. So I called my family out here in Cali and said, "Hey, I need to get the hell out of here. Send me a plane ticket."
Fast forward to my sophomore year in high school, we're still jamming.
Yeah.
I'm in guitar class, and I'm like, I know this dude. And so I just asked him, and I was like, are you Brett McChristy?
They were in guitar class together, and Bob and Gabriel and all those guys are all, "Hey, we should start a band," and all stuff. And
originally, Brett was going to sing, and then he invited Joel to play bass.
We went over to Gabriel's house, and we were sitting there, and I was going to play bass.
Joel was so fucking horrible on the bass.
Brett didn't even want to
sing. And Brett couldn't sing. It was just like a lost cause. Like, what are we doing here? And somehow, one way or another, they switched. Brett played bass, and then Joel sang, and that's where it took off.
Brett didn't know how to play bass, so it was always, like, okay, first string, first dot. That wasn't good enough. So back in the day, you could buy like a sheet of stickers at the liquor store or whatever, and it was like purple dinosaur, yellow dinosaur, red dinosaur.
So we put those on the frets, and that's how we told Brett. First string, purple dinosaur, then you're going to go to the 3rd string on the green dinosaur, and you're going to, and that was how he learned how to fucking play bass.
So I finished high school, and then I was like, all right, well, I need to figure out what I'm going to do. My aunt had the mannequin company, Vogue, so I said, well, I can get a job there.
And I ended up in the shipping and receiving with Joel. I grew up in City Terrace. It was a weird existence because we lived less than 6 miles from downtown Los Angeles, but we didn't get any sidewalks put in until 1991. It was a rough neighborhood, so there was a lot of fighting. I was always the kid that didn't fit in, and I was kind of like a punk rock kid before I even knew what the term was. Because of the way things were growing up where I was very angry. And Black Flag for me was that thing that just kind of said, that's how I feel. I want to fucking kill everything. I had an acoustic guitar that my dad had bought for us, and my brother and I had this idea of like, what if we take the acoustic guitar, wrap the microphone in toilet paper, shoved it into the acoustic guitar, and that was my first electric amp. And it was kind of like everything else in my life. It's like, I want to do something, and I'll start doing it, and then try to figure out how to do it later. That was how Butt Acne was formed. Joel knew about Butt Acne, and he said, you want to join the band? I didn't want to sing about Reagan and all this. I wrote these offensive songs, and for me, OBS was kind of like a progression from that because they were on the same kind of wavelength, but their songs were a lot more accomplished. They had bridges.
I wanna kill your family.
We were all kids from the neighborhood who all grew up on Kiss, Slayer, early DRI, Black Flag, and the Go-Go's. And OBS for me was always a kind of an amalgamation of all of that.
One day, I hear about Martin, and of course he works at Vogue.
So I happen to be working at the in the art department.
He's the dude that would paint the faces on the mannequin.
I'm working this, that, and the other. Joel comes over and goes, "Hey, do you play any instruments?" Working at a mannequin company, there was plenty of 55-gallon drums, like the metal ones. So cut one in half and actually took a mannequin stand and kind of welded it together. And next thing you know, I had this big, kind of like a calypso drum. And I would just basically follow along with Bob, the drummer.
I remember the first time Martin came down, it was awkward, like, well, what do we do? Like, and Joel's like, well, he's just going to play along with us. And being OBS, okay, that sounds cool, you know.
Welcome to another edition of Counterculture, and for this group is fantastic. And is this your group? Was it your group?
Yeah, it was my name. Yeah.
Yeah. So what'd you name your group for?
Our band sucks because we suck.
When we first started writing, I started writing most of it, and then Bob would like arrange it and then change chords as we did. I think we wrote together as a team.
Lots of times I would have a guitar next to me that I could just pick up and show Gabe, look, do this instead. Okay, cool. Put the guitar down, then I would play drums.
Yeah. Lyrically, it was between Joel and Bob.
I'm sorry, I probably wrote most of
Did you?
I remember talking to Joel one day, and Joel wanted to write a song called I Want a Roast Beef Sandwich. And we were cracking up. And I was like, how the fuck do you pronounce that? What's that stupid shit? Au jus? What's that sauce? Au jus. So we just started writing a song. I can't write a serious political anti-this.
Yeah.
I remember telling Joel to this day, every other punk band is screaming about that. I don't want to do that.
Back then, like the shit that we wrote from the first EP, you know, if we were to play it now.
People don't know us. They don't know who we are. They don't know it was written tongue-in-cheek. 30 years later, here comes another generation or whatever, and they're not going to get it.
Yeah.
People don't know us. They don't understand if we're singing a song called I Want to Bone a Skank. To us, it's hilarious.
There's a thread of sarcasm in the lyrics to OBS, but there's also, in some of them, there's some anger. And I think a lot of the stuff that we did was just to push buttons.
It's just part of getting older, and you're just like, fuck, man, that's just not cool.
We had other songs like Macho Shithead Motherfucking Asshole, which was about older men who go cruising for young girls.
Cruise around, pick up some chicks. They look like your teenage daughter. You probably went to high school with her money or macho shithead motherfucking asshole.
everybody's life was fucked up. There's all kinds of stuff going on, you know, in the world. We wanted at least for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, however long we were playing, is to
Just bring a bit
just
of comedy.
have a good time and thrash around and get drunk and be happy. And
But because we were all from fucked up neighborhoods and fucked up families and stuff like that, there was a certain caustic streak that was in that comedy or that humor. And you know, the irony, of course, is that we were playing like this really fast, really aggressive fucking hardcore, but with the stupidest lyrics imaginable. You know, we were running counter to what the narrative was in punk rock, where you had to be tough.
I went to a concert with Joel, go see The Damned. Yeah, they came out, they were fucking wearing costumes. I just remember the singer in a night outfit. I don't know, it was like, you know, just an eye-opening thing for me. Like, you know, we got in the car with me and Joel going home. I said, dude, that's what we got to do. We got to fucking dress up in costumes. Like, it would be the greatest thing. We did our first show at the Green Door, and that was the first show that we put costumes on, and it went well, very well.
Yeah.
And that kind of started the whole thing.
The shit that was happening in the audience was very much a part was going on with us on stage, and it was very fluid.
we worked our butts off. I mean, we practiced all week practicing. I mean, we were drinking at the same time. I mean, it was a reason for us to get together and drink and play. But I think a lot of the problems were because people were too jacked up. People were passing out right before you're going to play. The equipment's sitting there on the stage, and then there's your guitar players are sleeping in a booth.
Yep.
And you can't wake them up because they're fucked up.
That, to me, I don't mean this in a bad way. When Jim came into the band, that's when we fucking drank.
The alcohol stopped being something that we did while we were playing or practicing, and it became the other way around.
Whenever there was a change in the system, it never worked. And then it started becoming a point where the system was broken because he was too fucked up. Gabriel was always too fucked up. Brett was fucked up, and then he also got married and had kids and all that stuff. So now there's family stuff going on.
Yeah, I don't know if OBS really died. It's just, you get older and you don't play as often.
And that's kind of been the process ever since. Is it's been vacations, where the band would play and then they wouldn't play for a long period of time, and then they would play. But the irony, of course, is that they're all still talking to each other.
Life takes you in other directions, but we still keep in touch as brothers.
When I ended up in the band, it was like I'd found this whole other family of siblings that fought like siblings, but without any of the rancor that was in my immediate family. So it was like we've always kind of stayed really close in a weird way.
There were so many inductions into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for us that they get blurred, and they can't.
We did a 20-year reunion, right?
Yeah.
20-year reunion show. We're still going to push forward. It doesn't end.
No, I don't know if it'll end. We'll still occasionally do something, I'm sure. If we play once a year, that's fine with me, but it's even less than that these days. But that's fine. I mean, it keeps me in shape for sure.